Well, folks, the New South Wales Central Coast has no shortage of picturesque, beautiful places to go and spend some time slinging lures around. And that's great news for Sydney-siders because a lot of those places are actually a pretty easy day trip for those who live in the big city. So Tuggerah Lake, where we're going to spend some time today, is one of those places. It's a very popular fishing destination, but also it's a place where a large proportion of the population that leaves Sydney and head north to go fishing possibly drive straight past it on their way to Lake Macquarie, which of course is a pretty amazing fishery in itself. And we've talked about fishing Lake Macquarie on numerous occasions on the show. But today we're going to Tuggerah Lake. We're going there with Andrew Deeth and his guest and fellow kayak tournament champ, Adam Amos. So folks, settle in, make yourself a nice bevy or grab a beer, whatever you're going to do while you listen to this episode. Don't do that if you're driving a car, by the way. I heard a stat today that something like 60% of people listen to podcasts while they're driving. So definitely if you're driving, don't go and get yourself a bevy. Just turn the volume up and settle in, pick up a bunch of great fishing tips from Deethy and Adam. So let's hit that intro music.
This is the Australian Lure Fishing Podcast, where our mission is to help everyday sports fishers experience extraordinary lure fishing. If next level fishing is your dream, then let us provide the tools and information that will bring that dream to life. Tune in as our expert hosts chat with Australia's best anglers and share their tips for success. Then check out our website. It's one of Australia's largest and most popular online fishing resources. But first, catch today's episode as resident ALF host, kayak tournament champ and Bream whisperer Andrew Deeth brings the next instalment of lure fishing magic to your earbuds.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Australian Lure Fishing Podcast. And it's Andrew Deeth here. I've got a special treat for you guys today. I've got an angler that's been fishing for 20 years plus with lures. He's been on the tournament scene for about 15 years. He's the most recent winner of an ABT over in Western Australia, and he's a local to Tuggerah Lakes. So without any further ado, I want to bring on Adam Amos. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Mate, I'm looking forward to talking to you. Mate, we've just had a couple of events up on Tuggerah Lakes, and yeah, I thought it'd be really cool to have someone on to have a bit of a talk about it, and you're the one.
Well, I know a little bit about Tuggerah Lakes, and it's dear to my heart, let's say that.
Oh, there you go. Now, I do know that you haven't lived there all your life, but how long have you been there, recently?
Well, I'm just about to turn 50, and I've been away over in WA for probably 10 years, so I'd say roughly 40 years on Tuggerah Lakes.
Okay,
Yep.
So a decent amount of time. And how much of that time do you reckon you've been fishing, all forms of fishing?
Oh, nearly 100% of it.
Yeah, nice.
Any chance I get, mate, I'm out there. I love it.
Right, that's what we like on this show, tragics, mate.
Yeah, that's me.
Fair enough. All right, this is what we're going to do. Now, we've picked Tuggerah Lakes, obviously, as your system. So we're going to spend a bit of time just introducing you to the audience, just with some basic sort of stuff. And then we'll dial into what people should use or, consider using if they go up there to try and catch a bream.
Sure.
So how far is Tuggerah Lake from your house? Are you right on the water or is it 10 minutes?
Yeah, I've got a boat ramp at Elizabeth Bay, and it's probably 100 metres from my house. It's only a shallow ramp. It's right up in Lake Munmora, which is the top lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on average, how often do you go fishing? You once a week, twice a week, once a month?
Yeah, it's all shift dependent. So anytime I'm off, especially middle of the week, I'm out there.
Okay. So you're out there, and in the middle of the week, best time to go if you get that opportunity.
It is, yes. Yeah.
All right. So let's go back a bit. Tell us, what's your first sort of fishing memories?
Yeah, way back. I don't even know how old I was. We did the big Griswolds trip up to Stradbroke Island with Mum, Dad, and my brother. And we were camping in a campground, and we were on the actual beach, and Dad had set me up with it was one of the little $2 combos, I reckon, and he sent it out with a bit of beach worm, and I caught a smallish bream, and I don't even reckon I cranked the handle. I just ran straight back up the beach and beached it. So that'd have to be the earliest one I can remember, and I was hooked ever since because Dad was massive and so was my brother. So yeah, we used to do all forms growing up.
Right. And when did you sort of make the change through to lures? How did that occur?
Yeah, it just evolved. I was a baito for years,
Yeah, I mean, the period that you speak of was an interesting time where we were kind of hearing rumors. Same deal, I was on bait as well. You're hearing rumors of people catching bream on lures. And then it was that whole discovery period of, you go to the shops and find a couple of lures and have a throw and work it out, and then become obsessed with it. So to the point where there's no bait anymore.
Yeah, it just gets crazy out of hand, doesn't it?
It does. And all the leaders at that time, the Bushy and Starlow and Steve Morgan and all those guys that were really carving the way for the rest of us.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. Now, here's an interesting question. Tell us your big bream story. You must have a big bream that you want to share with us, and tell us how you got it and what happened, because I know this is a good one.
Yeah, well, if we're going with the very recent one, that's the Albany Unicorn, I'm calling it. It was my time. It was just meant to be. It was later day 2. I put a cast, obviously, in the right spot, and 1.39 kilo bream came out and took it, and it was in cockleweed, and we had no electric motor, and luckily it wasn't too windy, so if the non-boater got on the main motor, and I hope I wasn't screaming at him because I was pretty excited, but it's left, right, neutral, stop, net, and I dropped to my knees and it slid into the net, and I let a pretty good yell go. So, I've got another one, but that was probably the most recent, and to happen when it happened, you can't ask for any better than that. So that'd have to be the one, Andrew, for sure.
Just to put that into context, this is day 2 of a competition, and this turned out to be the winning fish and the big bream for the comp.
Yeah, that's right. And it obviously, like they always do, it anchored my bag and got me over the line. So yeah, it's definitely the best one.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Maybe. I'm curious to hear what you said. You had another story. Tell us.
Yeah. Well, it was a different system. It was on Lake Macquarie, which is up a little bit higher than Tuggerah Lake system, and it was one of them days, just grinding out, and I saw a whole heap of bait fish spray on the edge of a weed bed. It's near the inlet of one of the power stations that we've got in our area. And I thought, I'll have a throw. And I had a bent minnow on, and I threw it out, and it hit like a massive tailer. And I thought, what? Because at the end of the day, I was sunburnt and tired and had enough. And one more cast, as we do.
Yeah.
And that one more cast, I didn't get a weight on it, but I reckon it would have been in excess of 1.5 kilo. And when I posted it, I said, look, this thing, the only thing that's missing on it is barnacles. It looked that old. It was a healthy fish, but just looking at it and having it in my hand, I went, look at you. And that was a fish that I nearly turned me back on and went back to the ramp. So That one is probably, I didn't get a weight on it, but I reckon that it'd be me PB for sure.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And look, one other thing before we get into the guts of the interview, what other species do you like to target on lures?
Not a great deal. Probably flathead, because like all of us, our wives and family and friends are always keen for a feed of flatties. So, every now and then I'll put a little bit heavier on, or, just throw what flatties eat. So, and hopefully it works out. And 9 times out of 10, you get a good bream when you're after flatties. So, it's like I'm cursed. I'll go out for flathead and not get any. But if I'm chasing bream, sure as hell they're going to be flatties on for sure.
That's it. I mean, I do like to catch flathead, but in a bream comp, it's not what you want.
No, not at all. No.
Especially a really big one. They take a lot of time, and
they do. Yeah, they wreck everything, can they? Yeah.
Yeah, new leaders, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move back to Tuggerah Lakes. Now we are just in the end of April, early May. So maybe we could run through some of your favourite lures for this time of year. gives a bit of an idea of what you'd like to use. Maybe start with top 3.
Okay. Yeah, well, me being the surface lure fisherman tragic that I am, the top 3 would have to be all surface for me. I do change it up because, it's, as we know, this doesn't always work out surface. If they don't want to eat it, they won't eat it. But I'd have to start with the bent minnow.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be in the pink head or clown face or whatever they name it now.
Yep.
With others or other types on different days work. And then I'd go to, because we get a big prawn run on Tuggerah Lake system. And when the prawns are out, and if you're using anything that's sort of going to, like a cup face, give a little bit of spit, they just, it's almost like they commit suicide. They'll just keep going, and they're wolf packs. Like the boys on this system can vouch for this, because we just have cricket score days, and it's just so much fun.
Wow.
So that'd be, for the prawn run, would be the MMD splash prawn. And in particular, I like the amber. They all work, but I reckon the amber for me, I don't know, that's just one of those things that gets in your own head. And I put the Eco Gear small assists on, and I'll only use olive in the colour. You know how you get the rubber skirts that come with the hook?
Yeah.
Look, it probably doesn't make any difference, especially when they're suicidal, but I think it works. I get some pretty good fish out of the pack. So, you can pull it away from the little ones and try, 45 degrees the other way and see if there's a bigger one sitting over there. But, yeah. And then to follow up, the dilemma popper, the one that's got tinsel on the back hook, I'm never a fan of it. Years ago, I was fishing with another bloke, and he was using, I think it was the K9 from Atomic in muddy prawn, and I was getting 10 to his 1. And I said, mate, I've got some of these hooks made up that are actual treble with the tinsel on them, because I tried Adsy, and he said, no, I can't get them, mate. So I thought, we're going to have to make them. And we actually put a spare one on his K9, and they were hitting that. So I thought, well, it's got to be the tinsel on the back of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. All right.
Yep.
We're going to circle back to the bent minnow in the pink head. Let's run through what a typical cast would look for you. I guess there's a couple of times when this would be relevant, where you, in some points, you might be searching. Like, it'd be different casts and retrieves for different days. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe give us a bit of an idea of how you'd start up with your bent minnow.
Yeah, all searching, definitely, because they're not always where they usually are. And we're on a reasonably small system. I've got a big boat now, so it doesn't take long to get to A to B to whatever. 9 times out of 10, I'll pick a spot that I know has got broken weed. It's not solid weed, because our bream just sit in those little deep pockets, and it could be 6 foot deep, and 4 foot of that is ribbon weed, right to the top. But there'll be holes and pockets, and they just sit in there, and I don't know whether they're ambushing, and they're only small pockets, but if you can see, because our water's usually pretty dirty, if you can see those pockets, then they're the spots to go for. I'll also, if I can and it works out, I'll wind assist it. So that meaning I'll get the wind at my back and then just send the bent minnow out at roughly a 45-degree angle just to get some wind assistance on it. Super light braid, because there's nothing that they're going to snap you off on. If any, I don't know how they do it, but they'll bury you in the weed.
Yeah.
You'll get over the top of them. You'll pull your lure out, and there's no fish on there. You go, wow, how did they do that? And they've done that multiple times now.
Yeah, they're just sneaky.
Yeah, so super long cast is the key. One, you're covering the ground, and you're getting it away from the dead zone and around your boat.
Yeah. So am I right in thinking that you'd be cranking over the weedy areas and then trying to stop it over the patches?
Yeah, definite pauses for sure, yeah. Yeah, if you can see the patches. If not, I don't sit and let it, like all the splash dissipate and all that sort of stuff. I usually just get stuck into it straight away.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first work would probably be maybe a 2 to 3 metre and pretty erratic. I'll try and keep it up, like to keep it skipping along the top and get their attention, and then I'll park for probably only 10 seconds or so, and then just keep doing that all the way back, but probably not that far, maybe, I don't know, a metre or so, and then go again. If I get a boil, I'll just stab the rod tip down and maybe sink it a little bit, and 9 times out of 10, if they're on the job, they're already on. So
yeah. So I'm picturing you casting out and then rod tip high in the air, shaking it as you wind for the first couple of meters, and then stopping, and then possibly, like you said, rod tip down and stabbing it so that it runs under the water.
Yeah. It varies from day to day, but That's the general. Yeah, for sure. That's how I do it.
Okay. And when would you so we got 3 surface lures here.
Yep.
Do you start with a bent minnow, or do you have different criteria for which you use?
Yeah, well, I think I've got 4 Twitch freaks that I love for top water, and all 4 of those will have a different surface lure on it. And yeah, I'll just switch up because there'll be days where they won't go near a bent, and you think, I call them the yuppie Bream aren't out because they're so expensive. then just drop back to probably a splash prawn. Again, that's revolves around the prawn runs and stuff like that we get. And then the dilemmas to me is it's the mullet colour. I can't remember what it is. It's a really good crossover because we got a lot of small potty mullet and stuff like that. I'm sure the Bream feed on them, and they're I think they'd say 50 mil.
Yeah.
And you can walk the dog with it, or you can pull it forward and actually pop it, and then it'll actually spit water out the front. So prawnish sort of, what are they going to be doing today? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the dilemma popper. So same deal with that. I assume you're casting that as far as you can in general.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're really good for that. They cast like bullets. They got that transfer weight or something. You can't see them because I haven't got any clear ones, but yeah, they turn around and then the thin tail part just goes out like a bullet, and you can almost spool yourself on the right day.
Yeah,
You'll get them out that far. Yeah, they're good.
Okay. And you said you walk the dog sort of thing with those, or you grabbing them?
Yep. Again, I'll mix it up, like depending on what sort of mood they're in, because they're wild animals, I guess. They're not always doing the same thing, which keeps us coming back, I guess. But yeah, I'll if it's around the prawn time and they're not doing bents or MMD splash, I'll start popping it forward or walk it and just work it out on the day pretty much. If you're in an area where you know they are, it doesn't take much to work out what they're going to be happy with.
Yeah, definitely. And then the third one was the MMD splash prawn. Once again, it's kind of a mix of the two. It's got the bigger face on the top, and it throws a much bigger splash.
Yeah.
And how's that look for you with the cast?
Yeah, same thing, as far as possible. They cast pretty good too.
Yeah.
And then, almost instant. I don't muck around with them. I just, start ripping them, and I'll go rod tip up a little bit just to sort of, I don't know, make them sort of walk along the top a bit more than just spitting that water out of that upside down bib, I call it. But they're pretty deadly. They're good. And the stingers, if you're getting those, the fish that are just sort of slashing it with their face, well, a lot of time you catch them in the face. It's not even in their mouth. The stingers work so well, yeah. A lot of people I know that don't bother. They just leave the OG hooks on them, which are a treble. And they're good. Like, I don't change any trebles on them. And if I do, I'll go over to the OSP bent minnows, the chrome ones, just because they're pin sharp. And, if they make a mistake or they swipe at it, 9 times out of 10, you'll usually hook them.
Right. So I think that covers the surface. Anything I would say is what sort of lines and leaders are you running for this sort of fishing?
Yeah, Tuggerah Lake, I wouldn't go any higher, especially for surface, than 4 to 6 maybe, but there's really no structure that they'll get in other than bricking you in the weed. They'll get you down in the weed and throw that lure, and you just think, how do they do that? It's just amazing what they do. But if you know you're going to mow for a fish, I'll go to 6, just so if you get a little one, like a squeaker, you just crank it in, get it off and go again. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas 4, you tend to play them a bit more because you don't have that strength in your line. So, and it's strictly, for me, it's only a rod length maximum for me for any surface lure. I don't feel you need like a rod and a half or anything like that, unless you want to start to sink your bent minnow.
Yeah.
Because it's always fluorocarbon for me. Yeah, just to get them down and suspend them a little bit. But most of the time it'll be a rod length of 4 to 6. And the finest braid you can find that's, going to hold up, obviously. But, just so it'll fall off your spool and it'll absolutely fly, because you want to get it away as far as you can.
Yeah, okay. And what braid are you running at the moment?
I'm on the Goosen. It's Goosen, isn't it?
Yeah,
Goosen. V hard or hard?
Hard top.
Hard. It's just hard, yeah. And it comes in as a 10 pound. And when I first got a hold of it off Adsy, I thought, geez, 10 pound, that's a bit. And then I saw the line diameter on it and went, oh, it's tiny. It's like a hair, and it knots really well. And I haven't had any dramas with it. So get a little bit of fraying in around anything that's travelled through the guides and that, but I can't fault it. It's great. It's good for casting especially.
Yeah, it's one of the braids that I use a fair bit. It's the 0.4. The only thing I would say about it is If I go out for a comp, I usually strip 3 meters or so just off the braid before I start. Because the braid can get brittle and just break. It won't survive like a snap test.
Yeah.
Scotto James told me that, and he was 100%.
Yeah, in saying that, I've had that. I've actually cast lures off and thought, oh, my leader knot, something's wrong there. And you look and you go, oh, because I fish a lot with my son Jake, and he'll get it every now and then. He goes, oh, your leader knot's no good, Dad, because I tie most of them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an FG. It should be okay. And we bring it in, and we go over and get it on the electric, and said, no, you've still got, half a metre of braid, so it has snapped. But that's just poor care on my behalf. But like you say, stripping 3 meters isn't going to, it's not going to hurt.
No, that's right. That's right. And it does stop that. It does seem to get brittle. So
yeah. Yep.
So yeah. Okay. Now, if someone out there was listening and they want to go and fish Tuggerah Lakes and they haven't got a lot of money and they want to buy a surface lure, which one are they getting?
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. I'd probably put them onto a splash prawn, I reckon. The MMD splash prawn. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah. Oh, that's hard. Yeah. If you're just starting out, because they're pretty foolproof, if that's fair to say. A bent minnow takes a little bit of tweaking. And to be honest, when I first got my hands on bents, I thought, am I doing this right? And I wasn't getting much success.
Sure.
But any of the popper style ones in the right time of year would be the one for them, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah. So MMD, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a great lure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to a couple. Although we were just going to run with 3 lures, I think we're going to move into another class. So what else would you like to throw around Tuggerah Lake?
Yeah, well, do a lot of, not so much of late, but slow rolling or cranking chubby lures. I use a lot of the Ghost Recons from Bait Shop Tuggerah. He sort of comes up with all sorts of weird and wonderful colours, which work really well. When they're really on the job and they're not on surface, you can get cricket scores doing that as well. A lot of smaller fish, I find. But, over the years, I've got some really good cracking fish on just slow rolling. That's probably a good one for people to start out on. Find an area that's not full of weed, because we do get a lot of floating weed. The swans pull it off the bottom a lot, which is an area to go to because they sniff around there for a free feed because they're stirring up the weed all the time. But yeah, that's one of the main ones. Not so much of late. And then where do you start with plastics? There's so many of them. Probably the last 2 years I've been on the Force Lure and Tackle grubs. Mostly, I do cycle through a few of them. They've got the normal colours like bloodworm, misty green. They do well in WA on misty green, but I haven't done so well. But I just stick to the motor oil. A few people have asked me over here, what do you do? How do you do it? I'm still using a 1/12 jig head, but it's a number 2. And it's only small, so there's not much gape sticking out of the grub, so we can pick pockets. And when I say pick pockets, as in throw into like broken weed and even put it on the weed and then almost slow roll the grub, like with tiny hops on it and that. And yeah, they just destroy them. They love them. And then it just goes straight into your bio baits, as in your Berkeley gulp shrimps in pretty much any colour. And Eco Gear, the Bream aqua prawns. They're a bit of a winner as well.
Yeah, okay.
And then, as crazy as it is, we do in the colder months, or it probably doesn't really matter, we've done quite a lot of blading. If you can find an area that isn't full of weed, the baby vibes, I use the Strike Pro. I don't know what colour it is. It's got like a crack back with a orange underneath it. It's green. Yeah, they destroy them too. So, yeah.
Okay. We're going to circle back a little bit. I can't remember what the name of the lure was. The crank.
The crank.
Yeah.
Ghost Recons.
The Ghost Recon. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're well, they're out there. Anyone can get them, but yeah, they're not like a Jackal or a Camion or any of the Pro Lures or any of those.
Yeah, that's all right. Greg, you'll have to cut that bit. All right. So with the Ghost Recon, I'm not familiar with those. Is that like a chubby style lure?
Yeah, Rob gets them from wherever he gets them blanked, and then just puts his own colours into them. So the bigger one is almost identical to the Jackal Chubby.
Yep.
And then his smaller one is a little slightly bigger than the Smith Camion.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the main two. He does do bass lures and everything like that too, but that's the ones we use on Tuggerah Lakes for the bream.
Right. And in terms of colours, I can't remember whether you said what sort of colours do you like up for Tuggerah Lake?
Yeah, Tuggerah Lake's for me in the clear water. It's called liquid sand, so it's a real funny. It's still clear, but he's like just dusted it with a yellow. Like it's not a bright yellow or anything like that, and then puts a scale pattern on the back.
Right.
So clear water that I've just caught massive amount of big fish on that. Just in areas where you wouldn't think they'd be. Clear water and clear lure. Years ago, I think he put a comp guy onto him. He went up to Foster and he used the clear water up there and did really well because they're a cheaper lure too. They're not going to break the bank account. You can get a few and throw them where you shouldn't. But and then in the dark, you can't go past your generic matte blacks with red eyes. There is a dark horse, which is it's like a dark brown fading into a light brown belly, and it's got red eyes as well. It's pretty good. It works well.
Okay. So you'd use the liquid sand in the clearer days and then the solid colours in when it's a bit muddied up?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what everyone does. So, yeah, and it definitely works. It's good.
Yeah. And on Tuggerah Lake, is it a slow roll sort of system or is it a twitch and pause or does it depend?
No, I find slow roll.
Yeah.
Slow roll, soft. I will drop back to a fluoro. Probably don't need it. But, yeah, it's just, again, a super long cast as far as you can in the right area and then just, slow roll, get a hit, and then I'll sometimes pause. Again, it's on the day.
Yeah.
And there's no strike. It's just basically just wind them on. And, when you hit the sweet spot, you're getting good numbers and pretty good fish too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very cool. And with those, do you know what hooks he puts on them?
I'm going to guess and say that they're like a BKK.
Sure.
The ones I get being affiliated, they come raw, so I just put, now get this right, it's the owners with the wide gape, ST somethings. I think they're on the Pro Lure.
Oh, no, it's a decoy.
Decoy, sorry,
yeah,
decoy. Yeah, that's them. Yeah,
okay.
I like that wide gape in them anyway. I think, I don't know, they just hold up. They're pretty strong. When you're getting a lot of fish, the last thing you want to be doing is changing trebles, and I never do. I just usually take it off, put another one on, and then go and have a beer in the shed and fix everything up that way.
That later. Are you a lure clip guy or straight onto the lure?
Never. No, when I fished recently with Dids over in WA, he had clips on, and I don't know. I was trying to find the best way to get him to get rid of them. Because they weren't real fine gauge or anything. I just thought, no, don't clip. You can tie just as quick as you can clip. I don't know. Like a lot of bass guys clip because you cycle through a lot of. But yeah, never for me. I'll go loop knot on slow roll like chubbies and plastics, and then straight to the toe point for any surface lure. No loop knot.
No loop knot. Yeah, cool.
But definitely no clip. No, mate. No.
Okay. All right.
I'm sure there's people out there going, "No, you're a fool. You should have clips." But no, I'm just not a fan.
No.
It's just a thing you got to carry, and my eyes, I can't see them to open them and fool around. I think I might as well just bite it off and tie it on.
Yeah, fair enough. I think honestly, it's horses for courses. Like some people like them, some people hate them. It doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the force lure grub. Once again, I'm not familiar with that. Was that the guys from Western Australia that make those?
Yeah, it is. I've just been chatting on socials. One of the guys over there, he said, "Oh, you want to give these a go?" And just gave me a sample pack. And I'm like I always do, I go out to Tuggerah Lakes and give them a run, and they worked. And I knew that they were using them on black bream. And the time I spent in WA, I knew how cagey they were. And I thought, mate, if they're getting, that's what sort of pricked my ears up. I thought if they're getting black bream on these lures, then not saying one's better than the other, but I find a yellow will commit suicide more than a black. So I thought this could be a thing, And I took them out and tried them. I think it was one of the shad tail patterns, and they were just all over it. I'm thinking, because I didn't put any scent or anything like that on it. I wanted to get a true reading on how they were going because I didn't want to put them in our local shop and hope, they're just going to stay on the wall forever. But that's sort of how that came out. And then they're evolving and changing and getting different stuff all the time. But then I don't even know how it came about. I thought, I should, give these a bit more of a go. It was prior to comp season last year, and because we do a lot of team series, and I just started putting the motor, in particular the motor oil grub on. You matched it up with the Z-Man grub that everyone uses in the motor oil, and it's not as fat. It's a little bit slimmer. I don't know. The tail looks different. I've even swum them in the pool next to each other to go, well, why am I doing better on one than not the other? I don't know if it's confidence. And just match them up to a 1/12 jig head, which is reasonably heavy. But I find, especially in Sydney, dropping them down the poles and everything, because everyone likes to use a lot of the slow float. We drop them down the poles and they're actually swimming to the bottom. And by the time we get them to the bottom, and the depths are varying there, they can be really deep. Yeah, they're already on. Like you didn't even get a tick in your line or anything. Oh, shit. Yep, got one. So
Yeah.
I do use a lot of scent. I mix all my scent, any of the shrimp. Like I'll put S-Factor together with Sax, with Mega Strike, you name it. I just mix them all together. I put them in the little Tupperware containers and, I dip the tails in those. And so, the Force Lure, the brand it works. It's just good. Like we had good results. We had a comp that I did on Lake Macquarie and it was blowing and we were fishing onto it was just like a weed edge. And it had been blowing pretty hard for 2 days. And we had a decent bag. It was a photo release. And then, all of a sudden we got like 11 upgrades with one of them being well over a kilo. And I went, wow. And
Wow.
on them grubs. And I just thought, it's just crazy. They just, like I said before, they bite down on the jig heads and you just got molar marks in the leads from where they want to eat them. And a lot of the problem is in a comp, they've pretty much swallowed them before you can even think, don't, turn your toes up in the well. But
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, so they're definitely worth a look. I highly rate them. And if they didn't work, I wouldn't be talking about them.
Yeah. In Tuggerah Lakes, what sort of structure are you throwing them at? How are you fishing them there?
Yeah, mostly I'll come back off. I've got a few little areas that actually open out into sand with like just ribbonweed clumps here and there. You can't really see them because the water's usually got a bit of colour to it. But I just dip the tails in a good scent and just throw them in where you think they'd be. And you actually get bites. They don't always just crash tackle them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll actually pick away at them and you go, I'm getting a bite, and just manipulate the rod a little bit just to think, oh, that's food, and then next thing you know, you're on, and you can get some real good quality fish doing that. Yeah,
that's interesting. And then the other ones, so you mentioned like the biobaits, so the gulp shrimp. When do you change to that in Tuggerah Lakes? Like what flips you from a grub to a gulp or something similar?
Yeah, well, a lot of it usually starts out with surface, regardless of what time of year it is. I'll throw it in winter, and if I'll put it down, I'm getting better as I get older. I think, it's not working, or get a boil from a garfish and go, oh, it could be. So I put that down, and that's when a bio would come out. If it's really tough bite, it's like fishing bait, so it's definitely a good thing, and especially the Tuggerah Lake system. Like, there's so many prawns in there year round. Like, they don't always run, but they're in the weed pockets doing their little thing, and that's probably the main staple of our bream is for the prawns. So definitely bios and good quality ones. Don't let them dry out in your packets. I'm in tubs and stuff like that. So juiced up as much as you can, and even dip them again if you used it for a few fish, or it's starting to dry out a little bit. Just dip it back in and charge it back up if that's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I have just done an interview on the bream fishing project where you talked about switch baiting with bent minnows and plastics. Do you want to run through what that is for you and how you do it?
Yeah, okay. So switch baiting, I think that's what you'd call it. Other people have done. I'm not the founder of it by any means. So you're starting out with surface. So you'll do your surface retrieve, and from time to time, the fish just won't commit. So what I do is try and rev them up, if that's the thing. Yeah, just rev them up with the surface lure and get them interested. If you can see them boiling and everything like that. So if I'm social fishing, I'll just leave it out there, which we can't do in our comps. So you've got to scull that back and then throw the plastic back in. But I'll just get any of the bio baits usually and just throw it in right next to where your surface lure was and sink it down. And I'd say 8 to 9 times out of 10, the fish will eat it. You don't want to hit it straight away. You want to actually let them, like you'd soak in a servo prawn, like an actual prawn. So you just let them eat it, and if you can see them and they're facing the right angle and you can see that plastic in their mouth, which I did in Albany, I could actually see the fish facing the right angle, and I'd just slowly load up, and you'd have to give them a bit of a strike without ripping the heads off. But it's really productive. It's a good thing. It really works.
So if you're fishing alone, then of course you can put your rod in a rod holder or whatever. But do you ever do it in your team series where one's on surface, one's on the plastic?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Well, you're allowed to then. So, especially when I'm fishing with Jake, a lot of people do it. Someone will be cranking, someone will be doing whatever. And 9 times out of 10, we're both doing surface. And we'll always have a nice, fresh, any sort of bio, even a plastic, just to just to be ready. And like we'll draw a fish, and if it's a worthwhile putting the time into, we'll definitely put a cast into it. 9 times out of 10, it's Jake drawing them and me going in after that, because he's just got more confidence in me putting the right cast in and not blowing the whole scenario out of the water. So, but yeah, it's happened a few times, and it's a real pat on the back to each other. We go, yeah, we really tricked that fish. It can be pretty rewarding. It's really good.
Absolutely. And sometimes you get the big fish doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yep.
Very good. So what I want to do now is I want to do a cutaway for Team Doc Lures. So that's for people that put their hand in their pocket and pay just a couple of bucks a week to join this subscription for Team Doc Lures. And for that, as part of that, and amongst other things, they get a little bit extra in these episodes. So we're going to do a cutaway, and we're going to jump out of Tuggerah Lakes. We're going to go across to the beach. And you're going to tell us about throwing some blades on the beach. Tell us about that, the little thing you stumbled across.
Yeah, just out of chance. And, all us tragics are sort of, how are we going to go about something new, or what's going to happen here? And I do a lot of beach fishing.
Well, folks, as Deethy's already said, the next part of the interview is reserved for ALF Plus listeners, so Team Doc Lures members. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking for something different in the lure fishing sphere, well, it was a really interesting little passage of conversation about an opportunity to be able to catch fish on lures from the surf. And Bream on blades was the topic. And really, really cool stuff with lots of crossovers to regular bream fishing. So same tackle, same lures, just different techniques, different locations. And Adam gives a really good account of how he's been going about that and how you can too, not only if you live near Tuggerah Lake, but in fact anywhere up and down the East Coast where bream are found in the surf zone. So if you're a Team Doc Lures member, well, I'm not sure why you'd be listening to this version. You'd be listening to the members only version and getting that extra stuff. If you're not a Team Doc Lures member, you can become a Team Doc Lures member really, really quickly by going over to team.doclures.com/Deeth. That's DEATH. And for less than you'd pay for a pint of beer once a month at your local, you can get access to all this great information that will set you up for a lifetime of better fishing. So go and check that out, team.doclures.com. There's also live streams over there. There's ebooks, there's audio masterclasses, there's online tools and resources, everything you need to take your fishing to the next level. So go and check it out, team.doclures.com/Deeth. But let's get back to the rest of the conversation with Adam and Deethy.
That's exactly it. Very good. Very good. All right, let's welcome back the listeners to the ALF. Just one more thing I want to finish up with before we wrap the interview up. If you're headed out to Tuggerah Lakes, can you run me through what a general combo would be for someone, maybe just starting out? What would be a good starting point?
Yeah, okay. If they're going to chase bream on lures like we do, probably I'd go to a 2 to 4, 7 foot, maybe a little bit stiff, but if you're only just starting out, you know how fragile those 1 to 4s and that can be, so even 1 to 2s. Light's really good. You can get away with it, but they're not bulletproof, and it's heartbreaking when you break a rod, no matter what calibre it is. Yeah, go light with your braid. I'd go braid and leader. If you want to keep it simple, you can try your fluoros and that, but they can come with all sorts of grief if you're not familiar with it. But yeah, braid and leader, probably a 6 pound, and yeah, I'd say 4 pound leader, and probably a rod and a half of it, depending on what you're actually fishing for. Yeah, and that'll get you out of trouble. You can get them, they're pretty cheap combos, they're everywhere now, so yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you're doing braid and leader combo, what are you tying for your leader knot?
Oh, it's all FGs for me. I actually bought how you get the timber plate with the 2 bobbins? I've tried to tie it around my toe and do it all that way. And I was the double uni, I think it is. I was on that for years, and I thought, ting, ting, ting for your guides. It'd slow those long casts up. And I thought, I've got to just sit down and work this out. And I think it's a guy in Nelson's Bay up the road. He's come out with, I can't remember, FG Wiz or something. Yeah. And it's brilliant. Like I just joking to everyone who knows how to do them with their eyes closed. And I say, I'm still on my training wheels, but they come out awesome every time. So you do enough of them. It's like anything. You do enough of them. But yeah, definitely FG.
Yeah,
sure.
Nice. And then how many wraps are you doing?
Well, that varies too. Usually it's probably 24. I don't know. I'm a counter. Like I'll count how long the tap's going to fill my glass or whatever. So I'm always like 1, 2, 3. And if people are talking to me in the background, I'm like, hang on, where was I now? It's got to be 24. But I used to start with 20 and 24. It's not really, I don't think it matters too much. As long as you got 20 minimum, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
What do you do? Just out of curiosity?
30.
30, do you? Yeah, I've got a guy who does the bass fishing and that, and yeah, his is like 50 mil long. That's a massive one. What are you doing? He just gets carried away, though. Just gets, yeah.
Look, I understand how the knot works, and you should be able to get away with 20, but from my experience, I haven't been able to. I have 30 and they don't slip. If I do 20, some of them slip. So that's just my experience, and maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Okay.
I just do 30 and I tie mine by hand, with a line in the mouth and wrap it and all that.
Right.
And I do it anyway. I do it on the kayak. I do it it doesn't matter. So, yeah. All right. I think that's a pretty good rundown. It's giving people a good idea of what they can go and do around Tuggerah, and if they're part of Team Doc Lures, about what they can do off the beach. Before we bring this interview to a close, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, probably just the local tackle store, Bait Shop Tuggerah. Forever over there, pestering Rob about a new colour it works both ways because he doesn't get on the water as much as he'd like to, just business-wise and everything like that. So he's been a great help. I come up with some sort of an idea or whatever, and he's usually pretty helpful depending on his day. So if you need to get your cheap combos and stuff like that, or even just get started, you're not going to break your bank account over with him. And then I'd have to say Force Lure and Tackle. They've been really good. I've probably been about 2 years with Rick over there now, and their gear just works. Yeah, and if it didn't, I wouldn't use it. That's as simple as that. I'm like everyone, a little bit time poor. That's why I don't play golf. It just takes too long. Whereas fishing, you want to get out there and get stuck into it. If you've only got an hour or 6 hours, like I usually use. But yeah, those two for sure. And probably I'll go back to the podcast as well. They're just a wealth of knowledge. Just listening into what everyone else does is invaluable. You might have your way of doing things and then someone's come up with something. That's the beauty of fishing. It's just forever changing and something new's coming up. Like everything we're nailing fish on now is not going to be the same and that's a given. We know that. You can revert back to old stuff, but yeah. So yeah, all you guys on your podcast and everything like that, and just everyone, especially in the tournament scene, they've been really good for me. They're just always friendly. Especially when I travel with the local guys, like turning up to a comp and having Lee Bolton and his crew, and just nice to have your local boys around you. And yeah, it's just good fun. So yeah, and obviously family. There's always family, mate.
Very good, very good. All right, mate. Well, look, a couple of things I want to say. I want to say congratulations on your win in Albany, mate. Great win, first boating comp as a boater. So you're 1 for 1. How good is that?
Yeah. Only down from here, is like Alex told me.
He's probably right.
Yeah, I know what it can do to us.
That's it. And mate, and thanks for coming across and doing an interview on the Bream Fishing Project with me, which will come out after this. And then and thanks for coming here and sharing all things Tuggerah Lake. And I appreciate your time.
No worries at all. Thanks for your time, Andrew.
Thanks for listening to the Australian Lure Fishing Podcast. For free show notes, downloads, tools and resources, please visit our website on doclures.com or consider supporting the show by joining Team Doc Lures to receive exclusive members-only episodes, tools and resources. But for now, tight lines and may the fish be with you.